Medical coders often face a wall of text when reviewing breast operative reports. These surgical notes are dense, and extracting the right billable actions from the surgeon's narrative requires isolating specific procedures from those that are bundled together. To manage this complexity, we are going to isolate a very specific sequence in the Integumentary section of the CPT manual, codes 19281 through 19298. CPT stands for Current Procedural Terminology, which is the standardized medical code set used to report medical, surgical, and diagnostic procedures. This flowchart illustrates a repeatable, four-step decision tree designed to extract the necessary variables without error. Step 1 identifies the procedure. Step 2 locks in the imaging guidance. Step 3 checks the biopsy status. And Step 4 determines the quantity. Before we begin, gather your prerequisites. You will need a current CPT manual, a mock operative report, and 3 different colored highlighters. Applying a rigid, step-by-step extraction process strips the chaos out of the surgical notes. It leaves you with exact, defensible billing variables that protect against audits and claim denials. This mock operative report shows our first step in action. We scan the document for the procedure type and find the exact phrase localization wire clearly documented by the surgeon. Spotting that single phrase narrows our path immediately. It eliminates the codes for brachytherapy. Brachytherapy is a type internal radiation therapy, where a radioactive catheter is placed directly inside the breast tissue, which utilizes codes 19296 through 19298. By ruling that out, we restrict our focus exclusively to the 19281 to 19295 range. Now that we have the procedure, we move to Step 2, identifying the imaging guidance used to place the wire. The surgeon will specify how they navigated the placement, typically using stereotactic, mammography, or ultrasound. Scanning this document, the magnifying glass locates where the surgeon explicitly lists ultrasound guidance. You must never bill the imaging guidance separately for these localization procedures. The CPT manual dictates that the imaging is bundled directly into the primary placement code. Locking in the procedure type and the imaging guidance first gives you the structural foundation of your code. Getting these 2 variables correct ensures you avoid the claim denials that happen when bundled services are improperly split. Step 3 in the framework requires us to establish the biopsy status of the procedure. This coding manual layout shows how categories are explicitly divided. You must choose between procedures performed with a biopsy and those performed without a biopsy. Review the surgeon's procedure summary carefully. You must confirm that absolutely no tissue was removed for diagnostic purposes during the wire placement. In our current mock report, the placement was strictly for localization. Misinterpreting whether tissue was extracted easily leads to an unbundling violation. Unbundling is the non-compliant practice of using multiple distinct codes for parts of a procedure that are legally required to be billed under a single comprehensive code. Confirming the biopsy status serves as a mandatory compliance safeguard. We reach the final framework step, counting the exact number of localization devices placed by the surgeon. Returning to this highlighted operative report, we extract the numerical data. The surgeon specifies 2 distinct lesions and the placement of 2 wires. This triggers a strict coding rule. When multiple localization devices are placed using the exact same imaging modality, the billing must be split into primary and add-on codes. This equation shows how the split works. The first device dictates the primary code base, which for an ultrasound localization without biopsy is 19285. Every subsequent device placed under that same imaging modality requires a distinct add-on code. For our second wire, that gives us the add-on code 19286. This close-up shows the visual markers for these secondary codes. Add-on codes are indented directly beneath primary codes and denoted with a plus symbol. Mastering the hierarchical relationship between primary and add-on codes under unified imaging guarantees that the final claim is compliant and captures the full scope of the work. This comparison shows how applying our 4 steps to the dense report on the left leaves us with a clean 2-code sequence on the right, 19285 and 19286. This final sequence reflects the variables we isolated: standard localization, ultrasound guidance, no biopsy, and 2 place devices. You can practice the framework by mentally altering 1 variable. Try swapping the ultrasound guidance for stereotactic guidance.
Stereotactic guidance is a technique that uses X-rays taken from two different angles to pinpoint the exact three-dimensional location of an abnormality. By strictly following this four-step extraction framework, any coder can take an overwhelming surgical narrative and methodically break it down into its constituent billable units.